And good morning.
Good morning. Good morning. Happy November. You thought Halloween was over. We have some bad news.
Wait, Halloween's good.
Huh?
Halloween is good. How do,
Well, in this case, I mean scary things, in the popular
You're
sense
sitting
of.
next to a witch. What are you thinking?
I love Halloween. Okay, but we're pretending here anyway.
What?
This is now Bridge to a Better World. I'm Theresa Mitchell, and that there laughing is Ani Haynes.
I'm Ani. We didn't practice the opening to the show. I might have advised her not to say that, for it will get me hopping mad every time.
We had a good Halloween. I hope
Well,
that you did. Well,
yeah.
you should always celebrate Halloween with a witch.
This witch spent her Halloween voting under the watchful gaze of her cats.
Yes.
So
They did seem very interested in the process.
she was extremely interested
got
in
out
the
the ballots
process,
and they're like, okay, we're here.
and then they tried to lay on them.
Yes.
Okay, carry on. So here we are.
Here we
It's
are.
the Friday before the big day.
The election. Oh my God.
It's the Friday before the 2024 election, and we are here for it. We know that there are nefarious plots afoot, right? And for that, because it just seems ironic, historic, something that this particular election, that first Tuesday in November, is in fact November 5th. And as we all know the rhyme,
Shall we say it together?
and perhaps we don't all know the rhyme because not all of us were born British or raised by a British family or really into Alan Moore comics.
Okay, ready?
But would you doing the updated version?
We'll do the updated. Okay.
Remember the 5th of November,
the
the
Trumpiest treason and plot. I see no reason
the Trumpian treason
should
should
ever be forgotten.
Right.
So this is what I mean by, I'll put it this way. The scary season is not over. Scary season is not over because, and I'm actually going to divert from that topic because there's something unbelievably even worse sneaking up behind us, and that is H5N1. I've been trying to keep track of it, and Scientific American just posted an article on it. And there was also an interesting article in the LA Times. And so I want to go over some of that. Scientific American writes, as the H5N1 avian influenza virus continues its rampage through U.S. dairy cow herds, it has also infected human farm workers. A different strain has also infected workers on poultry farms, most recently in Washington state. On Wednesday, the U.S. Department of Agriculture announced that the virus had been detected in a pig for the first time in a farm in Oregon. Now, as the usual seasonal flu season approaches, some health experts wonder if it might give bird flu a dangerous boost. And just speaking for myself, human bird flu cases popping up have been all over, and there's a subreddit that's following it as well. They're all from farm animals except for one in Missouri. The pig case was from a sort of pet herd. I don't know how they would. I don't know how the owners would describe it, but the cooperation of the owners was key. There were only a few of them, really, just a handful. I think they were probably quite fond of them, and they sent them all in to be dissected. Another tool in an influenza viruses kit, Scientific American writes, is something known as reassortment. And speaking for myself again, I more commonly call it recombination. And I remember talking with Henry Nyman on KMU a few times about recombination, including in 2009. A flu...
2019.
2009.
Oh, sorry.
2019 also, we talked about COVID.
Yes, that was when I remember your interviews with Nyman.
Yeah.
Carry on.
Well, they write, a flu virus's genetic material is made up of 8 RNA segments. When multiple viruses infect the same cell and replicate, they can swap these segments, producing one of 256 possible combinations. This reassortment can create a virus that contains features of both parent viruses, which could make it more transmissible and virulent. The process is thought to have produced the 2009 H1N1 swine flu from a mix of US and European strains of pig flu virus, launching a thankfully mild pandemic. And I remember thinking, this is not so mild. I remember coughing so hard that I passed out. Now skipping ahead, they quote LA Times. LA Times quotes virologist and former U.S. staffer Rick Bright saying, "We cannot afford to keep playing a wait and see game. We all know how quickly this virus can emerge and spread. We must immediately remove it from these farms, increase all surveillance, and begin planning actions for a larger response. We cannot afford to do wait and see again. We need to act now." And then LA Times then goes and quotes a somewhat milder opinion. But of course, that's the one that got my attention. And, of course, having no credentials, but as a longtime analyst, I agree. It's time to move on this. I mean, what can you can't lose anything from this.
Right. You can't lose anything by acting on it now. You will lose a lot by waiting.
Yes.
I think it's,
a true monster pandemic, because this thing kills half of what it infects, generally speaking. Maurice Pitesky is quoted also by the LA Times. He's a food safety virologist at UC Davis, and he said a few years ago he worked on a computer model that could predict where the virus would show up as birds migrated south. He said it worked, and people are asking him to develop another, and he said, "I can't." He's quoted saying, "It's too complex now. Now it's in urban wastewater. It's in wild mammals. It's in dairy cows. It's in songbirds. It's in waterfowl and shorebirds. It's in marine mammals. We've never had anything like this before at a species level, at a geographical level, and at a food security level." Wow.
Is how he finished it. Wow.
Wow. And so that's, that's extremely spooky information is the best that I have on it. Now you have it. And now I'd like to talk about the scumbags attempting to end democracy. And I was talking with Ani about this yesterday.
We were chatting.
This is the first election that I won't just say that I can remember, that this is the first election ever where one very powerful, very well-funded party is actively attempting to end democracy. It's not just opposed by the Democrats. That comes off sounding like opposed by the Democrats. I mean, opposed by the Democrats. That's really what they're trying to do. They're seriously philosophically against democracy. They hate it. Brown people get to vote. That makes it stupid.
Women have autonomy.
Women. This is a huge part of it. And, that creep that Trump added to his team, J.D. Vance, says these things against women, not just because he's some eccentric, but because he's one of the sort of Theo bros who have been brewing this up, this sort of Taliban, Gilead state that they want. They're against the 19th Amendment. They want women not to be able to vote, to submit, to be subject to shut up and get out of the way, because women have been outperforming men in colleges, outperforming men in the workplace, don't seem to need men to pull in the paycheck anymore, and have been shrugging off the oppression that's been part of being feminine for all of these centuries, and don't
so
like it.
And with the particular fertilizer of Andrew Tate and his ilk, this strand of virulent, poisonous, and violent misogyny has become one of the guiding hands in this election. And so we see it kind of writ large, right? Between the pussy grabber in chief running against a very powerful woman who, in fact, has been, in the Senate, where she brought Kavanaugh to tears, where she has been a powerful player in California politics with her being an attorney general, chief prosecutor, that sort of thing. We have this powerful woman of color going against the pussy grabber in chief, who is heading up an army of virulently misogynist, toxic, anti-democracy. Help me
It
in
really
this
is.
sentence.
It really is Gilead, and I would go a little further and say this isn't just misogynist. These people are actively femicides. They are femicidal, and they intend to create a horror regime, and they've gotten a good step forward on it. Ellie Meistel, or is it Mistel, writing in The Nation. Gee, I wish I knew which because I want to have his babies, but
I believe it's Meisel.
okay, Meistel, during the Nazi throwback rally at Madison Square Garden on Sunday, after Donald Trump and his MAGA cohorts finished insulting pretty much every non-white person who might even think of voting for him, Trump revealed that he doesn't actually need votes to be installed as president again, referencing a secret plan he has with Speaker of the House, Mike Johnson. Trump said this, quote, "I think with our little secret, we are going to do really well in the House. Our little secret is having a big impact. He and I have a little secret. We will tell you what it is when the race is over," end quote. Now, strategically, this is an idiotic thing to do, but I'm fine with it.
Strategically, he's kind of an idiot when it comes to opening his mouth.
Yeah.
It's the machinations behind the scenes with his mafioso-like partners that, he's strategically good with. Sorry. He often says the thing that will sink him. Sorry.
Anyway, what's with the sorry stuff? Are you practicing for your Gilead role? Anyway, returning to Ellie Meistel.
That would not be my Gilead role.
She's not like this. Obviously, he writes, I'm not a party to the conversations Trump, Johnson, Beelzebub, and Vladimir Putin may be having on how to steal the election. He's awesome. I love him. It's entirely possible that the secret plan is nothing more than a penny ante plot to, say, set fire to ballot drop boxes, which could be foiled by the Hardy Boys or Merrick Garland should he ever wake up. If you get a chance to read an Ellie Meistel article, don't miss it. Most educated guesses, he writes, assume that Trump and Johnson are secretly talking about installing Trump as president through a contingent election whereby the House of Representatives, not the Electoral College, determines the president. He writes, I think the plot goes deeper than that, but let's start with the contingent election idea. To understand how this could work, you have to understand the 12th Amendment of the Constitution. Here's the key language and a big quote. The person having the greatest number of votes for president shall be the president if such a number be a majority of the whole number of electors appointed, and if no person having such majority, then from the persons having the highest number not exceeding 3 on the list of those voted for as president, the House of Representatives shall choose immediately by ballot the president, but in choosing the president, the votes taken by the states of representation from each state having one vote.
And she went on like that for 3.5 hours, and we played with the pencils on the bench.
Yes.
Okay, sorry.
This is what people are talking about when they mention a contingent election. What the amendment means is that if no candidate wins a majority of the Electoral College, the House gets to decide who the president is. Funk. Bad enough, but key here is that the process is based not on vote of the full House, but on a vote of the House delegations, with each state getting an equal vote. Currently, Republicans control 26 of the 50 House delegations, meaning they could hand Trump the presidency in a contingent election scenario. They wouldn't do that, would they? Obviously, he writes, I'm not a party.
No, I can't imagine that they would act in some sort of colluding manner to, shank democracy.
Dastardly bastards.
I can't imagine.
So
carry on.
He goes on to say that the Trumpoids probably plan to, that this isn't all of it. They probably plan to delay results through their
placement of ballot counting officials.
Yeah, right? So they don't even get to a contingent election. The red state legislatures delay the certification so that Trump appears to have a majority over a reduced electoral college total. In other words, only so many votes have come in. So 270 isn't the magic number anymore. It's less. And what they mean to do is, say Georgia wins, say the vote, the popular vote in Georgia.
Where early counting?
Yes. Early voting appears that that this is going to be a blue state. But anyway, but it has a red legislature. So if they can hold that back, then everyone in Georgia doesn't get a vote in this process. The number of all of Georgia's electors just simply don't appear. The total of all electors, both red and blue, is reduced. And then you count up the red states and, oh, look at that. Trump has a majority. And so his lawyers will say, oh, Trump wins. So they have no intention they have, these are not the only plots that Ani and I have gone over the last year or so to end democracy. I mean, of course, this comes on top of the gerrymandering and the vote challenging, which is going forward ferociously. If you look at gregpalace.com, you can find more on that. But Washington Post writes, if there's no, it gets worse. If there's no apparent winner within 5 days of the election, so by November 10th, every federal agency will be required on November 11th to open its doors to both Trump's and Vice President Kamala Harris's campaigns so they can simultaneously begin the sprint to install a new administration. Why? Why? Because this is part of an effort at the end of the last Trump administration, when they couldn't imagine that Trump would stay out of prison, much less be a candidate again. They decided, well, we're going to change some rules so that Trump can't do what he did, which was to hold off the Biden administration until they were literally forced from the White House, throwing boxes of secret documents into the plane and fleeing to Florida. Now, 5 days after the election, if things are held up, and of course they will be.
And can we just back up again with the Trump being forced from the White House, throwing boxes of classified documents into the plane and flying to his encampment in Florida, Mar-a-Lago. That was the end of his last administration. Sure, that asks what's going to be back in another, 4 years with what looks to be a chance through manipulations of the system to try to get in again. The mind boggles. Carry on.
Here's the strain of my voice. He's trying to get in my lap, but he's a very large dog.
It's true.
He can get his head in my lap. So anyway, so this is what they did. They set it up so that, okay, no one can force the other team not to be able to start their transition. We'll just let both. Shit. Anyway, so that's the law now. And of course, Trump has not signed the papers saying that they will be ethical about this process of getting all of the secret CIA information once again. They've already shared with Putin. It's fresh stuff to share with Putin. And they write, even if a former president again contests the election results over baseless victims' claims of voting fraud, his campaign staff would still have access to key operations of government, including sensitive information, while courts and lawmakers battle over the final results. Thank you. So, and it goes on to say that Trump has failed to sign an ethics pledge, but of course plans to jump into that process. There's no way he's not going to do that.
So the idea of Trump signing an ethics pledge in the first place, to me, just sort of means that the paper would sort of like catch flame as his pen was moving across.
He'd be so, I can't threaten to shoot protesters again. I've signed a pledge. No, that's not him. So, and there's more details on it. And as I was saying, that is from an article in the Washington Post. And if you want to read something on the Washington Post, then all you have to do is go to the front page, find the article you want, click on it, copy the URL, go to archive.ph and paste that URL in there and click. And sometimes you have to remove the spaghetti at the end of the URL. You'll see what I mean if you do it. And then you get to read the article, which is how I got it.
Because, after all, Washington Post refused to actually endorse democracy. Democracy might die in darkness, but it also dies when people are afraid to actually call it.
Yeah, democracy dies in darkness. Turned out to be their plan, not their
warning.
Actually,
it was not a warning. It was their plan. Thanks, Washington Post. Thanks, Mega Rich.
They still have some great journalists, and a lot of top information is coming through that. It's just a weird time.
It's just a weird time. Let's just leave it there, shall we?
Okay, so this.
I also want to acknowledge Jabara's point about the Vancouver Mall shooting last night. I think that again, we see when you have a trick-or-treater event with kids going to a mall for a family-friendly time, and you have somebody there to create mass shooting. Once again, we see a sickness in our country, and we have to address the gun issue. We have to address gun violence. We have another person dead in the community and 2 more injured and so many more traumatized because we have failed as a society to really address what causes mass shootings. And besides the being disaffected, besides this, that, and the other thing, there's the easy access to guns. We have to address that. And once again, we see an underscore of the importance of a blue wave during this election. We need to be able to actually address the madness that is going on with gun violence in our communities.
So I want to say, and we talked about this yesterday as well, that as soon as we see that they are trying to steal our popular vote, our democracy, then we should be peacefully in the streets. But we should go further than that. I think that plans should be drawn up now. In other words, time to start buying bags of beans and rice, not just for the H5N1, but so that we can collectively arrange to stop work at some point, with the attitude being no democracy, no workers. You want us to work for the corporations? Well, no, sorry, no, we won't do that, because the promise is that we have some democracy. I'm not going to exaggerate what we had. Obviously, it went way in the direction, I'm already talking about past tense, in the direction of control, and there is very little access to the levers of power. But what little we had, and the possibility of having more, is about to be snatched away, and we have to say no. And we have to decide on that now and not be shocked by it. It is coming. November 10th.
They will try.
Yes.
These things. We know this. We know that when he says the quiet part loud, it is actually in the works. He's not just saying it for some sort of effect. He lacks a filter. And that is, in this case, helpful, because it really does underscore what they're planning to do. We must be aware. We must hold together. We must stay informed during what is I'm going to guess, it's going to be a confusing week full of, high anxiety. I'm just going to put it there. But I think here's where the witchiness comes in, and implore us all to stay grounded, because panic is a great way to not have any control over your own personal power and autonomy. Panic makes everything sort of stop. So it's important to, again, stay grounded, stay informed, and stay together. We have to practice solidarity like our lives depend on it. We have to call out what we are seeing around us. We have to actually grab whatever media platforms we can to share this kind of real information with each other when corporate spin comes along and starts spinning. So stay tuned to the voices that you hear and trust to bring you good news. And when I say good news, I mean informative news, and not just Pollyanna stuff, but to stay informed and to stay connected. Voices like Ellie Meistel, voices like Democracy Now! And Amy Goodman and her team. Stay tuned to your reliable and trusty YouTubers such as us. We try to stay informed through various means, reading many alternate press and listening to a whole lot of podcasts and international news. And so
I think over the next
we
week,
try to distill it and bring it to you.
Yeah, here it comes. So I think over the next week or weeks, it's much more likely that one or both of us will break in and do a mini broadcast. I also want to say that the police have been very plain about coordinating a massive on-street intimidation effort. And they don't say against leftists, but I've been on the streets many times, and I know what side they're on and just how ferociously they are on that side. So that has to be borne in mind. So this is
the same police force that created paths out for Proud Boy protesters to get away from anti-fascist demonstrations. There's a lot of history in the Portland police, and ain't none of it good. So again, be aware.
Don't let them scare you, is what I'm saying with that.
Well, be aware.
Yeah.
And, again, I want to encourage us not to be completely reactive. I don't know that flooding the streets without a plan is a good idea. In fact, I'm going to go ahead and say it's probably a bad idea.
There are going to be agents provocateurs.
That's what I'm saying. And so without a plan to just go and add to a chaotic event is, I don't think, going to actually benefit us. I think that we need to be very methodical. And we have to develop a plan that will be effective, that applies pressure to where pressure needs to be applied, and not just sort of contributing to mayhem. Because I think that is going to be a time ripe with agent provocateurs and right wing creepazoids.
I would agree, and only add now is the time. It starts now.
Yeah, right.
What are the comments saying?
So there's a call for linking to the Ellie Meistel. So we can put that in the description following the show.
It's in the Nation.
It's in the Nation. He is the legal analyst for the Nation. He does a lot of Judicial Watch. He's amazing. He's a frequent guest on MSNBC and on Democracy Now! I've seen him more than once, I believe.
Yeah.
Amazing analysis always by Ellie Meisel. Last name Mystal.
Yeah, you can find it pretty easily.
All right. Anything else from you?
That is what I came here to say.
So staying together, staying strong, staying solid, and non-reactive. That is what we need. We need to be responsive, not reactive. When I think about being reactive, I think about like just that urge to go and scream from the mountaintop your dissent from a thing that is happening. It's not necessarily strategic. It's not necessarily going to get the desired end result that we need. And the stakes are so high. This is so important that I'm asking us all to stay grounded, informed, and in solidarity with each other, to develop a plan and to be in solid community. The tarot for this week. What else do I want to say? Oh, I want to say you are watching. This is now Bridge to a Better World. I'm Ani. This is Theresa. We are here every Friday at 9 with this live stream. Likely, we will be breaking in other parts of this week. Actual witch. You need to pull that this way. Yeah, it's true. I'm a witch.
It's good to have one of those.
What was I getting? But yeah, now my train, it's jumped. Oh yes, hit the like button if you would. Like this video, thumbs up. Hit the notification bell so that you can know when we are doing this again. I was toying with the idea of some sort of like live stream during our Tuesday night results. Not entirely sure how that will work out. We have some important ballot issues and state measures to also be considered. We were going to spend a moment talking about them, but perhaps not.
Perhaps we'll do another broadcast.
Well, election is on Tuesday, and we're asking everyone to vote very early. So just do pay attention to all the local issues as well. And know that we stand firmly with the do not, if you are living in the Portland area, do not rank Renee Gonzalez for mayor.
Oh, and it turns out ranked choice voting is easy, but it's different. And so it scares Republicans. Bonus round.
So, ranked choice voting really should not. I've heard so many complaints about how, it's taking so long and there are so many. No, you got first choice, you got a second choice, you got a third choice, whatever.
If you can make
Lay 'em out there.
If you can make your breakfast cereal, you can do ranked choice.
I'm pretty sure it seemed fairly self-explanatory. But Renee Gonzalez does not deserve any of those votes, not one.
Boy, howdy.
From his false accusation of assault, where he tried to erroneously pin an assault on a woman of color on a TriMet vehicle.
Racist.
From his misuse of public funds to pad his Wikipedia entry.
Remember his $250 rent downtown Tony office?
Yeah. The man is not good for Portland. Not good for Portland. Do not rank Renee Gonzalez.
Okay.
Okay.
What I would like is if they, they'll never do this, but I'd like is they just come out and say Renee Gonzalez actually represents the
moneyed and business developing interests.
Represents the untrammeled rule of the rich.
Of developers' reign in Portland. And let us not. Let us end the reign of developers in Portland. Okay. I think that wraps up all of that. So let's now turn our attention to Theresa. It's true, actual witch coming through the Samhain season. So here's a little extra. This is the Halloween season. Of course, yesterday Halloween, today known in the Catholic Church as All Souls Day. Tomorrow, Dia de los Muertos in Mexican culture. And there are other traditions that are experiencing that turning of fall at this time of year that also have ancestor practices at this time of year. It's we talk about it in the witchy community as the time that the veil is thin between the worlds, that we can most easily access the wisdom and the communications with our dearly departed. And so I want to really encourage us at this time. Today, the new moon in Scorpio is celebrated as Lunar Samhain for those that like to celebrate on the lunar equivalent holiday instead of the Gregorian date calendar holiday. Lunar Samhain is today. It all is to say that we can more easily access love, guidance, and wisdom from our dearly departed who have a pretty good view of what's going on. And I want to encourage us to remember those that have gone on before us and to ask those that could advise us, to act and to help us. That's right. I'm calling on us all to call on our beloved dead to help us through this difficult, challenging, and confusing time. I want to, I personally have been thinking a lot of my previous co-hosts who have passed, Melody Silverwolf and Lynn Mullick. I have also been thinking of my old friend Judy Berry from Earth First and Community Radio Lands. Community organizer extraordinaire. I've been thinking a lot of Emma Goldman and the fact that she understood the very key and pivotal role of joy and camaraderie in any political movement. And also the extreme, well, not extreme really, the need for women to for everyone to have sovereignty over their bodies. She was an early advocate of free love and birth control and the celebration of women's sexuality. So I would encourage us all to take some time and make a cup of tea, have a cup of cider, a glass of wine. However, your ancestors and loved ones liked to drink, liked to party. Invite them for a little advice session, and just ask that they help to guide the actions of this week and help to guide our steps to be the most effective we can be. So that is our witchy guidance through this Samhain season as we head into the 5th of November, and our National Election Day just a few days away now. That all said, I do have some tarot. We have the King of Pentacles inverted. We have the Three of Pentacles, and we have Judgment. We haven't seen Judgment before in the couple years we've done this show. I don't believe we've seen Judgment before.
I'm glad to see it out of context.
We have seen this one before, however. So the King of Pentacles inverted often stands for those that will do anything to exercise power and control. Those that will win at any cost. The fact that he's an orange cat, I'm just going to say no dissing on orange cats. Love the orange cats. Little marmalades, they're awesome. But orange despot, yeah, okay. Here we have one piece of the puzzle for this week. We have somebody who has demonstrated they are out to win at all costs. The Three of Coins talks about our dedication and learning our craft, our dedication and hard work, our perseverance to do what needs to be done. That is to work hard and to keep the shoulder to the wheel and to keep pushing for democracy, to keep pushing for a better world, to keep ourselves free of distraction, free of panic, free of, oh my God, I just can't, and to stay diligently working on the issue. And Judgment. Judgment is a card that really calls on us to do the best that we can do. Judgment is a card that calls on us to really give it our all and to know that we are the ones that stand in judgment of our actions. We cannot fail ourselves. To fail ourselves is to fail community at this time. So Judgment, do what needs to be done to keep your heart light as a feather, to not have regrets later. I'm going to throw in there part of what needs to be done is reaching out to people that we may have kind of written off, because the last several years have done that to us. Those that may not be in agreement, we've just been like, man, it's too difficult. I can't even. It's time to even again, right? It's time to reach out to folks that have become disenchanted and apathetic. It's far past time to reach out to folks that for whatever reason have been lulled into the creepy cult-like thinking of 45. It's important to reach out and to let folks know that this is not really an election like we have seen before. Really, it's not. I'm personally looking at my own history of throwing the word fascist around in previous decades because I thought I knew what it meant. Now I am actually seeing it means something far, far darker, far heavier. And we are watching it. The fact that we can have the orange one create that Hitlerian-like scenario in Madison Square Garden last week tells me that we are facing really extreme danger. And so Judgment, this is the time to do what we, how we always say, if I was alive in World War II, I know what I would, well, this is the time to be doing it.
This is one of those historic times, yeah.
Right? And
whatever
so
you would want to do, this is what you're doing.
This is what you should be doing now. And if that means, phoning people that you've had political arguments with in the past and that they just don't plan to vote because they think voting's a scam, call them and beg them. This is the time to pull out all the stops, to be as persuasive as we can, and to do all of the hard work not to defer any of that work to a later date. It is the time we stand in judgment of ourselves and our own efforts. Let's make them count.
I want to beg a little bit. If you know someone who was killed by U.S. bombs, then I will not ask you. I will not ask you to vomit while voting. But for those of you who are like me, live in the United States, and understand that the U.S. imperial policy has not been at issue here, I ask you to vote against Gilead, because the first roundup will consist of brown people, and the second will be transgender persons like myself. Inaction will have severe consequences for me. So please.
Yeah, and I'm not entirely sure there's that they're going to differentiate first and second. I think roundups. They also, just going to say again with that, they've said the quiet part loud. They're talking about massive detention starting on the first day of their administration. And somebody pointed out, well, they really can't do that because that's too costly, and we'll need field workers, and we'll need low-wage workers that, will be suddenly vacuumed out of our society. When I heard that, it just immediately hit me that no, the plan would be that those detention folks, the people that are held in large detention camps, would be made to work without pay. It would be a new slave system.
And it will happen quickly. That's what Mike Flynn is about. That they are organizing that now. They are effectively.
And so again,
organized.
This is for every person of color, for every LGBTQIA two-spirit person, for every woman, for everyone with a uterus, for all of humanity and our planet facing climate change. Get out the vote. Vote blue. Get it out. Vote early. We dropped our ballots yesterday into the election county office here in Multnomah County, not trusting them to ballot boxes anymore since we've had a couple of ballot boxes destroyed and a U.S. Mailbox contents harmed during this last week. So please do what you need to do. Take the extra step. Get your ballots into county offices or into the mail stream. At this point, get them into the county offices. We only have 4 days before the election. So with that,
solidarity.
I think it's all the imploring we have this morning. We love you. We thank you for being with us. Stay together.
So many times.
Stay strong. Stay informed. We'll be back, and we'll be back at the very latest next Friday. We'll likely be back sometime before then as well.
Our love and solidarity goes out to you and to all the ships at sea.
Dee-dee, dee-dee, dee-dee.
Dee-dee.